Welcome to Soulful Practices Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Holling-Brooks, and over the past 20 years, I have been on a journey of healing and awakening. I'm also a coach and practitioner for clients on their journey of unbridling their true self. The number one question I'm asked is, what meditation or practice will help me reach my goals? While there is no one meditation or secret mantra that will unlock our own awakening, there is a doorway that will lead us there. And that's the doorway of learning and cultivating the skills of self-reflection and contemplation. Each episode of this podcast offers you pocket teachings and practices that you can implement right away to help you courageously connect with living your authentic soul-led life. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, everybody. Michelle Holling-Brooks here, and I am super excited to bring you the final episode in Season 3 of Soulful Practices. I can't believe we are coming to the end of our third season already. And this season, we've really been focusing on the idea of cultivating greater discernment and confidence and knowing in what is our intuition, what is our heart, and how do we believe it, how do we hear it, how do we connect back to the wisdom that is held within us. And this whole season, I've shared with you different quotes and teachings of how you can begin to really cultivate a trustworthy connection into hearing your heart, having the opportunity to witness that which is what it's wanting to share with you, and then also opening up to then the choice point. Being able to connect to our wisdom, being able to hear our heart, to be able to see with the eyes of the soul and feel through the felt sensations of the heart. What all that brings us to is an opportunity and a choice point in this moment, in this time, to say, how do I want to show up for myself? How do I want to show up for my day today? How do I want to show up for others? And ultimately, am I showing up in a way that's in alignment with who I truly be, that small voice inside? Or am I getting lost in a conditioned self, in a reactive self, in a fearful self, moving from fear instead of love and joy and wonder and curiosity? And ultimately, are we holding ourselves back from stepping into the fullness that we can really do authentically and in a way that really serves us? So I was trying to think of like, how do I want to end this season? And if you're watching along with this live, when we do this, it's just the end of May. It's going into June. I do take the summer off, just heads up. I take the summer off of Soulful Practices so that I can, one, be more present for my kids during their downtime. And then two, I'm also going to be really diving into helping bring my next project into full fruition. And so I'm super excited. Just side note before we dive into the rest of today's session is like that my next project, which is both a book, it's actually 2 books and an oracle deck, is getting ready to launch on Kickstarter, hopefully mid-June. We're just now started our pre-launch for it, and we're building that momentum to be able to share this project with you. And it's my first time doing a crowdfunding project, doing self-publishing and all of that other stuff. And wow, following discernment has been a huge part of this, and it's called the Sacred Witness Oracle. I am so excited for it. Like I said, it's 3 tools. It's my second book. My first book is The Horse Cure, and it was stories of how I learned to bring everything that I'm teaching here through the different ways that I learned that in equine partner and psychotherapy and coaching. And so it is a beautiful little book. I call it little compared to the book that's getting ready to come out because it's a book of stories and it teaches through story. I really believe in the power of story. But one of the things that kept happening with the horse cure is I kept getting emails of saying, hey, Michelle, I absolutely love the way, one, you honor a horse's voice and you trust in that process, and you can create that beautiful, safe space for your clients to have this healing opportunity presented to them. How did you do that? How did you find a way to take those leaps of faith that you take to what you were hearing, what you were seeing, when to trust that process. How did you do that? Like, what created that felt sense within you? And it's everything that we've been talking about in soulful practices, especially this season, because it's a lot of discernment and it's a lot of faith. And in that book, they're right. I don't necessarily say how to do it. I just say, hey, this is possible. And so the second book is the answer to that. And the book is called Trauma Informed Enlightenment. Like I said, it's going to be coming out available for sale, hopefully, in fall of 2025. However, I need help to get it there. And so I was shopping it around. We had some publishers and houses interested in it. We're taking a look at it. And the feedback I was getting was, hey, this is such an amazing book. And we need to cut it for availability to public. Everybody's got short attention spans right now. We need to do that. And every time I sat with the book and I was like, hey, I am all for brevity. I am all for, like amazing editors can take my words and just really hone in on those sentences. And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. And I was open to it, but I kept hearing from the book. It was like, no, I'm not going to be split into multiple books. You can't take any part of me out because every part of me supports the other person. And I really want to be a holistic support to the person, because trauma-informed enlightenment is that, like, hey, there's a reason why we have separated from our true self. There's a reason why we doubt ourselves, why we're lost in the trance of unworthiness, why we feel disconnected from our life, from our body. And our mind is stuck on a treadmill of what if and looking for assurances and guarantees and the next hack or quick fix or formula that it can crack that will guarantee our safety in the world and our feeling of being held. There's a reason why our system is looking for that, and that's that trauma-informed approach to healing and to spirituality. Because sometimes spirituality and healing, and especially where they cross wires, it can come into just think better and just don't have negative thoughts. And, we can even get lost into more shame trying to open up to the wisdom of our heart. And why is that thought popping into my head? And it shouldn't pop into my head. And oh my gosh, because I had this negative thought, I manifested this horrible thing. And spirituality and healing can actually become a very crushing pursuit of perfectionism. And I wanted to offer to the world what I offer in our sessions out here at Unbridled Change, whether that's in person with the horses or online through coaching and healing circles. It's really of how to do the the ability to hold ourselves, and therefore the ability to break free from those conditioned responses, those fear responses, from the hidden ways we move from fear and not love. And I wanted to share that wisdom. It wanted to come through. And really the power that does that, when people would say, Michelle, how in the world do you get from point A to point B? How do you know exactly what my body, you just gave words to what I feel in my body that I haven't felt anybody else understood. How do I do that? I do that because I have befriended a healing power that's within all of us, and that is the sacred witness. And one of the key things that a sacred witness has is they have discernment, and they have the ability to honor what we want to hear, what we want to say, what we want to think, and what we really desperately want, our body or spirit or our heart, soul, whatever you want to call it, what we want to hear from it so that we feel safe. And it also has the ability, when we're in the role of the sacred witness, to hear what is, to be with what is. And therefore, that's the discernment, because instead of trying to only pull out what we want to hear and what some maybe very well-meaning part of us wants to acknowledge or see, a sacred witness has the ability to be with what is, to hear the unfortunate truths, to honor them, to witness them, to feel them, and also then to open us up to more choice, Because when we're able to be with what is instead of what we want it to be, that is the beginning of being able to have that medicine of discernment within us. And so the trauma-informed enlightenment is, as the book for my next offering, really helps us walk through a holistic way of gaining that ability to not just observe ourselves, but to connect to ourselves, not to pity ourselves, but to find the strength and the awe of how amazing it is that we adapted the way we did, and also the bravery to lean into that wound, open to the medicine that's within it, and befriend our body, our mind, our heart, and ultimately open to our soul. And that's what happens in trauma-informed enlightenment. I'm so excited. And it also decided that it wanted to turn into a triplet. So I was just planning, I always knew that it wanted to have an oracle deck with it. However, it just kind of, I was like, let's get the book done and then I'll worry about putting together my first oracle deck. I have no idea how to do it. I see other people do them, and yeah, I think that's amazing. And yes, I'm an artist, but do I really want to take that on? And what would that look like? I only have so much bandwidth. And when it looked like the book wanted to go self-publishing, I had never published before myself. My first book, I was so fortunate. I had beautiful people come together and help me bring that in, and it was published through a wonderful publisher, Trafalgar Square Books. And I was so grateful to that, because if the time in which in my life that book was coming forward, I was really struggling with a lot of health issues and other stuff like that, and it would have never happened if the people that came together to bring that book together had not been there to help me and to support me and bring it through. So it had community in it. It was just a very different way. And so when this came forward to say this was, you're going to do this in self-publishing, I kept hearing that and I was like, oh man, that's like upfront costs. That's like, I have to pay all the people that the publisher did that before. And this is really scary. And this type of a book, which is more of a coaching soul workbook, that I still want to tell through story and all that. And so it took a lot of leaps of faith, a lot of discernment to hear what is versus what I wanted. And it kept bringing me back into taking a gamble on myself. And through that, I really had to open to connection, which is another key part of the sacred witness. It's not an isolation. It's not a detachment. Yes, it has the ability to see a little bit more, quote unquote, observe that which you're working with, but it's in deep, heartfelt connection. And what bringing this self-publishing and opening now to the Kickstarter campaign that's going to be coming out over the summer, and asking for people's support and help to bring this project all the way into fruition with pledges and their early rewards by getting into this. I have been able to meet so many amazing people, face a lot of challenges on my own of how to step in connection, work in that, step out of it, like what, when, how, why, where, and all of those different things. And it really has been such a huge gift to me that I would have never had if I had gone the traditional publishing route. To learn the different aspects of that side of creation, to meet the beautiful, amazing people that I have met along this way, and to really learn to stay in the listening of what this project wants to be versus me saying what I would like it to be. It has been a little bit of a masterclass in discernment, just like what I've been inviting you into throughout this season. When it came in late November of 2024, that it wanted that the deck and the oracle deck and the guidebook had to come with it, I first felt like really intimidated, and then it was like, it's not that big of a deal. And it used a little what I call trickster coyote medicine, because I just kept saying, I don't have the bandwidth for it. I hear you, spirit, but it's just going to have to wait. I've just got everything done. I'm getting ready to go through the publishing piece with self-publishing on this side. I can do the Kickstarter for that, get this done, get it out to the public. Then I'll go back around and do the other piece of it. And I kept hearing no. And I kept saying no. And I kept hearing, but this is the way it needs to go, Michelle. I kept saying, oh, it's fine. I can do it my way. And luckily, Spirit kind of dropped in what I call the coyote medicine in the light. And it said, hey, it's really simple. It's just 54 cards at that point. It's now 56. And here's the quick little, when this card comes forward, it means here's the 56, 54 themes from trauma-informed enlightenment that want to be on a card. That when somebody pulls this, they're working on X, Y, and Z. And this is the little tidbit of a question to get them started. And I channeled it all pretty darn quickly. And I looked back and I was like, yeah, that's a nice little trifold template. I just need to find an artist. I have a beautiful friend that I already kind of had seen some of her artwork that was off of some of my talks that I had given in my podcast, where she had said, oh my gosh, Michelle, I listened to you and this is what came forward while I was listening. And I just loved the work that she was doing. And so I already knew who I wanted to reach out to. And I was like, this isn't that hard. I can do this, right? Like little trifold thing. I already channeled it. And I sent it to her and I sent it to the editor that I was working with at the time. And I'm like, look how easy this is. And they were like, yeah, that's great. And then they'd ask a little question and I'd go into a meditation and I'd write a little bit more. And they'd ask another question and I'd go into a meditation and I'd write a little bit more. And next thing I knew, these cards were talking to me in full on channeling, like invitations and somatic exercises and practices and bite-sized chunks around the themes that were the roots, the what's in trauma-informed enlightenment. And it was coming forward. And the surprising thing is, by the time I got done with writing the guidebook that goes with the cards, is I was like, oh, this is the book that all the publishers wanted me to write that was only so big and more like really bite-sized chunks instead of full journeys and stories and wisdom teachings that really dove someone deeper into their own self-work. It's like I now had the best of all worlds. I had the way in which it brought you into it with a lot of stability, that some oracle decks are gorgeous and yet they require you to really have another practice on the side to supplement it, to really bring that in, because it reads a little fortune cookie-ish. And this guidebook started that way, and then it brought in some beautiful depth to it. That both is the high level kind of quick card draw that says, oh, this gives me some coordinates of where to go that my heart and my soul is asking me to tend to. But then you can dive deeper. And when I got done creating it, which is just a few weeks ago, I actually just sent it off to, I got the copy edit back from the editor and sent it to the design layout for the guidebook. And all of the different pictures have come back now from the beautiful hand-painted watercolor paintings from my friend Kim Ganley, who's the artist of it. And really, truly, I just like packaged it all together on Friday this last week and like passed it off to the designers. And it's a little crazy to think that the writing element of it and the design element, from my point of view, is now done. And now it's off to the designer. And then to bring it into full production is going to be passed to the world, to all of you, to help bring it fully into fruition. It's like I'm looking at this gorgeous web of interconnection, and I'm looking at this offering that can give either quick insights and coordinates and support to help stabilize somebody down to deep roots of repatterning and witnessing, healing, remembrance, and liberation to you truly be. And all three of these tools, whether individually or if you use them together as they're designed to all support each other, I sat back and I was like, wow, if I had originally listened to what I wanted, if I had kept true to trying to make all of the things that I was hearing and thinking about and feeling along the way match what I wanted, the ease, the grace, and if I took any of those working edges, those places where I thought I was running down a road and then bam, I hit a wall, and I was like, oh, if I had gone into what did I do wrong, or what did I miss, if I had gotten pulled by the weeds at all these different places, this project would have never come to fruition. the way that it wanted to, in complete integrity and gorgeousness and depth that it has. If I had gone with a publisher, yes, I would have had a beautiful book and it would have been extremely helpful. I know that. But the Oracle deck and the guidebook would not have been born. And if I had stayed true to just what I was like, okay, this is the only bandwidth I have, then again, the other tools of how that can help maybe reach people that don't want to dive into trauma-informed enlightenment, or it's not time yet in their journey to have that deeper dive, would not have had the support that they need, or the whole entire beautiful suite together to meet you at where you're at different parts of your life and what you're looking for. And that to me is the gift of discernment, right? Like when we have that ability to say, I think I know, and my educated guess is this. And yet we then say, okay, I'm letting that go. I'm opening up to what is actually here. What do I feel in my heart? What is it that I don't want to hear? What is it that is there for support for me? So I didn't want to hear, go with self-publishing, go with crowdfunding. I was like, I don't know how to do a Kickstarter. I've only like backed a few of these before and I have no idea. And I don't have a big enough social media following and I don't have this and I don't have that. And, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing, right? And then I would feel inside me, come back, Michelle. You don't have to know that. And another beautiful poem that I would love to share with you during this one is David White's poem, Start Close In. And so this poem is really near and dear to my heart. I actually wrote to David and had permission to not only use a quote from it in the book, Trauma Informed Enlightenment, but to use the full poem. And so the full poem is in the book, including David wrote up a little commentary of why this poem came to him, and what it's about, and how it actually matched exactly where I use it. And I use it to help our mental being let go of its fears, its projected loss, and its projected outcome fears. Like, wow, I'm going to do all of this work. I'm going to put all these resources and time into producing this. And what? Where's it going to go? Am I going to get my return? Are people going to like it? Are people going to accept it? We have, that's one of the biggest fears that holds us back from living and taking risks on us, both professionally, personally, recreation, all the different parts, health-wise, of what it is that our heart brings us to do. We poke holes in it. We get decision fatigue with it. And so what I want to do is share with you David's poem. Again, I have permission from him to put it into the book. And what I am going to do is pause this video. I'm going to play in his own words, him reading the poem, and then we'll come back. So here is David's poem, and it is Start Close In. This is from his book. It's Many Rivers Press, and you can find it in his essential book. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing. Close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on another's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes a private ear that can really listen to another. Start now. Take a small step. You can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble. Be focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that for another for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. So this poem, as he wrote when he gave me permission to use this in trauma-informed enlightenment, he talked bravely about that it's necessary for us to look at the world for what it is and to see that the outer world has really no influence over us on our inner world. That outer ground, if we try to start from out there, from another person's point of view, from another person's question, from another person's voice, that we don't have the ability to truly listen to ourselves or to another, that we end up walking in the steps of another and not the steps of our own. And when we let that go, that the temptation is for us to then start to like think about the next step and the third and the fourth and the fifth. But when we do that, we ignore, and he said, ignore the invitation into the center of our own body, into our own grief, and to attempt to finesse the grief and the absolutely necessary understanding that at the core of the pattern, to forego the radical and almost miraculous simplification into which we are being invited. And that's what happens when we start close in. So let me read this one more time to you. Again, this is from my book, Trauma Informed Enlightenment, that is getting ready to go to a Kickstarter campaign. I need all the help to stay close in with it. And as it begins to come forward, I know it will come out into full release in the fall of 2025 in its own beautiful divine timing, along with the Sacred Witness Oracle that shares some of this as well. So let me just read this poem again. Start Close In by David White. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet. Your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes your private ear that can really listen to another. Start right now. Take the small step that you can call your own. Don't follow somebody else's heroics. Be humble. Be focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing. Close in, the step you don't want to take. From this place of willingness to see the pale ground beneath our feet, to release our attachment, our allegiance to the voices of another, the questions of another, the thoughts, the steps of another, to follow another's heroics, their path of how they did what they did. It's amazing. We can learn from that. But ultimately, our heart wants us to pause and tune in to ourselves, the place that honestly, many times we don't want to go. We don't know what we're going to hear. We don't know what that is. There's an invitation to center in our own body first, into the grief, the fear, the past ways in which we maybe tried to follow our own path and maybe we deemed that it didn't work. But is that true? Can we find a way to seek understanding, to see things through a new point of view, to radically open to the root, the radix, the root, the original invitation that only comes from our heart and from our soul? And to me, this is when true discernment opens. When we have that ability to start close in, to honor what is there, to step into our own heroics and bravery. And I just love this image that the book designers came up with to help support Alan's poem. Just let you look at that image. Imagine yourself coming to this grove, this sacred grove within you. That this is where discernment starts. It's a willingness to be humble, to take our shoes off, so to speak, on the sacred ground, meaning taking off the idea that we're just hopping into motion and moving and being and following footsteps that are already laid. And we are willing to witness the ground that has been, that is there, and also what wants to be born. A few episodes back, I shared with you a story of some violets, some beautiful wild violets that were popping up all over, and not just for me, but for others. And that was in that ground. And when I look at this picture, there's a little tuft right there in the middle that's growing and being a part of that. And I feel like sometimes we don't get to see it. You know, if I came in a different season, these trees would not be covered in the leaves that they are. It would look barren. It would look destitute. It would almost look like there is no life. It would feel cold. It would feel barren. And it would feel distant. You allow it to sit, to be with, to witness, and in its own divine timing, and it flourishes. It comes in on its own in beautiful essence and glory. And that is like the different things that are within us that want to be born through us. That's what happened with this project of trauma-informed enlightenment, of really bringing that forward and allowing that to be a part of my world. I'll let you see the cover. There it is. And to do that, the foreword was written by beautiful Mary O'Malley. She's such a thought leader and a pioneer in spirituality and awakening and healing. And again, I'm so honored by the beautiful artists, thinkers in their own right, and healers that came forward to help support with this project. But feel into this image, again, by the book designers. And feel into that we have to be willing to bridge the two worlds of us and to be able to see in those aspects of those two different worlds. And the hint of that sight of being able to see into the darkness of us is right here in this little owl. That's in this picture. To be able to look at the reflections, to hone in. And let me show you one more beautiful picture. And here we have the cover of the Oracle deck box. And I'll bring that in. Let me get rid of that banner so you don't have to worry about that. And it is the owl. It became the symbol. It is the symbol, the metaphor, the archetypal energy, and the wisdom of owl that wanted to come forward. Our ability to see, to perceive, our willingness to be in the darkness and in the light. The care and the tenderness that also can come in, the fierce protector that is also there, and the softness to land with a soft footprint in our own heart as we witness, as we tend to, and as we support ourselves. And as we truly awaken to the healing energy that is within us. And I want to offer this as a soulful practice to you. So I'll come on back to me now. So the soulful practices for today is around that idea of starting close in, of being in that place where we are releasing the questions of others, the heroics of others, the actions of others. We can definitely glean from them. We can get that support and that guidance and that support of their wisdom, of their path. However, discernment is truly about being able to hear, to absorb, to listen, to witness, and then be able to let go of what we think, what we know, what we want it to be, what we hope it to be, and then open to that place that we truly don't want to go, into our body, into our heart, and into that place of stillness so that we can be with what is. So I invite you to kind of pull up something for you. What is something that you have been seeking guidance on, support, discernment? And maybe it is towards something that you want to create and offer to yourself or to others, either through a work endeavor like this beautiful offering of the Sacred Witness Oracle and its 3 sacred tools, whatever that is for you. Maybe this is something you've been wanting to give to yourself, a gift just for you. Maybe it's a knowing of a health goal or a wellness goal or financial, personal, housing. Maybe it's just a desire to linger more. Whatever that is that you have been seeking support with, I invite you to kind of pull that forward right now. And at first, I want you to kind of go on a walkthrough, if you can. What are all the things you've tried? What are all the ways that you would love for this? Naming is taming. So, what are the ways that you want this goal to happen? Pie in the sky. This is what I want to manifest. This is why I want to manifest it this way. This is what I've been trying so hard to figure it out, to work, to put in the effort, to do the good job, nose to the grindstone, trying to bring it into fruition. Um, what are the doubts, the fears? If you quiet, what protective mechanisms meet you? Who are you, am I to do that? When I was presented with the title Trauma Informed Enlightenment, I was like, no, I cannot. That can't come from me. I'm not a theologian. I don't have a PhD and yada yada yada. I don't have those quote higher education things behind me. I'm not a monk. I'm not a this, to say the word enlightenment. And yeah, I'm a trauma informed and specialist, and I have that in both somatic parts work and other things like that. And I have all this training. Yeah, I've done my work in the trenches, and I have my version of what enlightenment is. But oh man, that's not a title that I can put forward. But it wasn't about me. It was about the title that honored what the hearts of others are seeking. A grounded approach to spirituality. Something that honored both that trauma can be there and enlightenment can be there. And in fact, it is often from our trauma, that pattern of the wounded healer, that the medicine is within our wound, that we can turn towards that and come in and find the wisdom that we developed, like post-traumatic growth, that came forward, the strength. We can stand in awe of how we manage those parts of our life, and in awe that we are willing to engage in enlightenment, unbridling the light within us, right? And so, who are we to stand in the way of what wants to be created through us, through the medicine within each one of us? And the way in which it comes forward, we might never know. And it might feel like twists and turns, and why am I going left and why am I going right and why do I feel guided to go over here? Everybody says go here, go left, and then my guidance is saying go right, or go left, but in a different way. How do we know that that's what we're hearing? How do we know the difference between wistful thinking? And David gives us beautiful guidance on that, is to come home, center in the body, be willing to meet the grief that will meet us there. Hold that grief with absolute love, witness it, and befriend the private ear to our own inner knowing so that we can hear the quote other. Who is the other? That's both ourselves our heart, our soul, the truth that's coming from another's heart and another's soul that we can perceive with clean eyes and not trauma goggles. And so now the second part of this meditation practice, whatever you want to call it, is see if you can come home to that body. How does your body feel about that goal? Whatever it is that you are seeking discernment, guidance, support with. The interesting thing about true guidance is it feels a little shaky. It feels a little uncomfortable. It stretches us past that comfort zone and into that like space of the unknown. We don't quite know how to do it. Self-publish. I don't know how to do that. I know how to produce things and run online courses and do all these other things and sell that. I can do that all day long, but like publish, oh my gosh, what does that look like? How would that look? Oracle deck, I've never done it before, but wow, I am blown away by this deck and the depth and the wisdom that channeled through from both the card descriptions of the guidebook and then the animal beings and plant beings that wanted to come through. It was a complete left fielder, so to speak. Originally, when Kim and I were talking about the deck, we had humans in it. And I was in the middle of a meditation and I heard take the humans out. Bring plant and animal medicine forward because they were my original teachers of the sacred witness. They weren't bogged down by the weight of the ego mind. And they wanted to be the mentors, the mouthpiece for this deck. And when I brought that back to Kim, she was like, what do you mean, Michelle? Go back into your meditation. I don't think you heard that right. And both of us were like, ooh, what does this look like? How are we going to do this? And wow, oh my gosh, the beings that came forward for it, I would never have been able to imagine. And their wisdom spoke. Each of these cards and the descriptions and the practices that are for each of them, and even the images of how they wanted to be, there was no Kim and Michelle getting in the way of them. They came forward when they were ready. They came forward with clear guidance of how to paint it, what that image is going to be. And it was a true humbling. You know, David said in his poem, be humble. And that humbleness is a willing to be in connection, a willing to share that wisdom, both with yourself and with others. So ask yourself right now, what support is wanting to come forward for you to help you with that, whatever that is that you picked, that maybe is bringing you into, did I hear that right? Are you sure? I don't know where to go for that. I don't know how to bring that in. And are you willing to just open to that place of humbleness, a place of willing to not know, that place of being open to connection and support? What would that feel like in your body? What stories are there that you've tried that before in the past and it hasn't worked out well, so I'm not doing it again? That was kind of me. I wanted to create in a bubble. I was like, like I just, wow, this is opening up to artwork through another person, not through me. This is opening up to new partnerships and editors and designers and all these new people that are going to critique and read and work with. And that was scary. And yet, each one brought forward a new gift to this work that wanted to be created through me, but also with the support of others, including the animal and plant medicine that was in there. Like the owl. The owl was very specific and it wanted to be a snow owl. It wanted to bring that beautiful reflection and light into the dark. Again, the shadow is not that there's something wrong. It's just that it hasn't been seen or hasn't been allowed or valued to be seen. And we need to break that trance of unworthiness, that trance of scarcity, that trance of comparison, and start close in. And so here's the final piece that's setting our intention for this week. as I invite Reiki energy to help you set the intention, and myself included, is for me to hear, sense, see, and know where that close in step, the step that is beneath my feet, that pale ground, the one that I don't want to take. Help me see it, help me engage it, and help me flow with it. So ask right now, what is that step for you? And I invite you each morning to ask that question. And maybe I actually do it 3 times a day. I ask in my beginning for the overall setup of the day. I usually like to do a middle check-in because sometimes I can get pulled into client work or writing or different things. And it's like coming back both to what my body needs right now in that day, maybe what my clients might need, my children. And I like to end my day in the same fashion. What would be supportive? Opening to that question. What is that step that wants to be taken? The more you practice this, the more confidence you're going to have, the more willing you are to listen and to move, and that discernment will naturally come. You will begin to feel the difference between a part of you that wants something, a part of you that really, really, truly, genuinely, for beautiful reasons wants something, a part of you that's afraid and therefore diluting that guidance. A part of you that's nervous, shaky, you're going into that next step is going to take you into uncharted territory. Will that ground hold you? Will what you need be coming in? It looks a little like vague, obscure, barren. Will that support come in as I start walking? And you'll begin to feel the subtleties of those protective mechanisms, of those, what I call the personal heart wants and wishes and desires that are beautiful, but sometimes not what is optimal for us because we don't always get to see all the moving parts. And we're co-creators, meaning we aren't the only manifestors that are out there. We're working with an interconnected web of other people and other beings coming in and bringing together their brilliance, their wisdom, their medicine into our own lives. And are we willing to open up to those uncharted waters? That's probably a whole nother podcast. So let's start close in. The first step, not the second, not the third, the one in which we want. I'm so grateful for David for his willingness to share that poem with me and therefore with all of our readers and viewers. And if you haven't had a chance to check out his work, I highly recommend it. He is a beautiful mystic, spiritual teacher. So much of his work speaks to me, but this particular one really wanted to be a part of the Sacred Witness Oracle, and also now a part of your path as you work with that as well. Offering you light, love, and joy. Oh, by the way, check out the link below. You can see the pre-launch page, or if you're watching this later after we've gone into launch, our launch page into Kickstarter. We need your support. And then after that, it will be available for sale in the fall. I know it, this is going to happen, of 2025. And so definitely check out those links below, check out the Oracle, see which one of those tools or all of them are talking to you. And I can't wait to pass this wisdom and to allow it to be out and doing what it always wanted to do. And I'm so honored and grateful to be the vessel that helped to bring this work forward. So offering you light, love, and joy, Michelle, with Unbridled Change and the Sacred Witness Oracle, and your host of Soulful Practices. Bye. Thank you for listening to Soulful Practices. For more information on how to work directly with me or one of my guests, check out the show notes below. We'd love for you to also let us know what parts of this episode are speaking to you and how this practice is supporting you on your healing and spiritual journey. Please share this podcast with fellow seekers, travelers. Together, we can create a wave of soul-led beings in this world, offering you light, love, and joy on your journey. Michelle Holling-Brooks. Until next time.